Welcome to a new video. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. The first story is called, Yes Ma'am. When I was in college, I was a bouncer at one of the main college bars. There were 5 bars on the same street right off of campus that got packed on the weekend. Most of the bouncers knew each other and would let each other cut the line at their bar for the same implied treatment if they had a weekend off. Just to be clear, we were only letting 5 to 6 people cut the line a night. Usually, when another bouncer came to my door, I would just open and let him in, hand him a wristband, and he would walk away as to not disturb the line. One night, I let a bouncer cut the line discreetly as usual, except this time someone in line started yelling curses at me cursing. I just say that he worked at the bar. This tactic usually works on drunk people who aren't thinking clearly. The guy apparently was still mad and told my manager what happened after he got in. This particular manager was a huge hypocrite. She preached the rules and was always on me about having the correct count in case the fire marshal showed up, but on her night off would bring in 15 friends through the back door and tell me to equalize the count, i.e. let 15 people out before one could come in. This is a key example of how to get a line of people angry. So, this night she came up to me and asked why I let this guy cut the line. Obviously, she knows who he is and I say he works at such and such bar. She yells at me for 5 minutes or so and says, no one cuts the line ever. I shrug it off and go about my bouncing duties. This happens somewhat often. People get mad because they see us let someone in. The managers were usually relaxed about it because they got to cut at other bars as well. Well, several weeks later I am at the door again on a Friday night. The whole street is packed. At least 50 people in line and I see the manager leave the bar across the street. I almost couldn't stop smiling when I saw it. She walks up to the door, doesn't even acknowledge me and tries to walk in. I calmly put my arm across the door and say, I'm sorry, miss. I'm at capacity. If you would like to come in, you will have to go to the back of the line. She turns and slurring her speech says to screw off, she is my manager. I said, yes ma'am, that's true. But you aren't working tonight, and there are no cuts ever. I can still see the blood start to boil in her head. She starts to chew me out as I am accustomed to from her. I'm having to bite my inner lip to keep from smiling and laughing. I still have my arm across the door. She can't walk in and she tells me to go get the manager on duty that is working that night. Again calmly I say I'm sorry, but I cannot leave the door unattended or who knows what could happen. But she is welcome to call the manager. She is so mad that the veins in her head are visible. She is cursing and throwing a fit. I just go back to checking IDs and giving wristbands. Finally, the manager walks up and asks me what I'm doing. I let him know about the no cuts ever policy. He kind of puts his fingers on his forehead and shakes his head like God damn it, why is this happening? For some stupid reason, the manager on duty sides with me and told her that rules are rules. He must have been sick of her too. I had to bite down so hard on my inner lip to keep from laughing, I made my lip bleed. The look of surprise and anger on her face was priceless. By now the line died down to maybe 10 people, so she shuffles to the back, staring daggers at me the whole time. This may be the best part. She gets to the front of the line and is still very wobbly from drinking heavily. One person leaves and she is about to walk in, and I very politely inform her that she is too intoxicated to come in tonight. She just stood there for what felt like an eternity, probably just 15 seconds or so, staring at me. You could see the defeat in her eyes at this point, and she turned and left without another word. The next story is called, Fine, I Won't. I work for a pretty popular franchised coffee shop, and my store also happens to be the busiest store of said franchise in my city. As a result, things tend to get very fast-paced and hectic when it's busy. I myself have worked in 3 coffee shops at this point in my life, for a total of 3 years now. I haven't worked at this particular franchise before. But making a latte is the same, no matter where you are, and not to toot my own horn, but I'm quite an excellent barista. Now, I like to try and keep a low profile at work. It's a combination of not liking to get in trouble and liking to tokay up a bit before work makes this a necessity. So I never really mention my past experience with coffee shops to my coworkers. If it comes up organically, I'll mention it of course. But I figure there's nothing to gain from boastfully saying I've got 3 years of barista experience when someone tries to helpfully offer me advice. I know people love to feel like they're smarter than others, so I just let them talk. Anyways, enough backstory, we're supposed to be maliciously complying here. This was a few months ago, on my 4th or 5th shift. I was working a shift with a girl I had never worked with before. She thinks she's the best barista ever, likes to work the busier bar and whine about how her talents are being wasted if she's put anywhere else. She also constantly complains about our pretty wonderful job in front of customers and routinely refuses to make drinks. She hates frappuccinos. To be fair, they do take an absurd amount of time to make, and the syrup tends to get on your arms. She will try to pawn making them off on anyone else she can. But I digress. She is working at the bar, as usual, and the store gets a huge rush. I am still an unknown commodity at this point to the supervisors, and they don't know what my strengths are. So I am ordered to just help out where I can. I begin doing so, and soon my co-worker is overwhelmed by the sheer amount of drinks being ordered. I run over and start pumping syrups into cups so that she doesn't have to worry about doing that. "Get out of my way," she snarls and gruffly pushes me aside. Alright, fine, maybe she doesn't like people in her workspace. I begin pouring milk for her and measuring out how much she needs. It changes per size, of course, for each drink. "Do not touch my pitchers," she says to me, giving me a look of utmost disgust. I back off. Obviously, she does not want my help. About 10 minutes pass and she asks someone to cover the bar so she can run to the bathroom. Said person then asks me to cover as they were already busy. I say no problem and begin making drinks. 2 minutes pass, she comes back and is practically steaming as she sees me steaming milk. "What are you doing?" she angrily says. "Don't come near my bar, okay? You're going to make a mess. You don't get how to make drinks properly. It takes a long time to figure this stuff out, okay?" Yikes. Didn't realize coffee was so elite. "Okay, I will not come near your bar," I reply. I'm done with this rude 18-year-old. I return to stocking lids and being nondescript. The day progresses. Another rush occurs. I am standing off to the side, basically trying not to get in anyone's way, very obviously not doing a thing. A family comes in, and I can tell just by looking at them that they're one of those families. The order goes through and sure enough, they had ordered 7 frappuccinos. A frankly ridiculous number, and they were all different frappuccinos, which meant my coworker couldn't double up ingredients to speed up the process. I see the order go through, she grabs it and has a little mini hissy fit when she sees how many she's about to have to make. I see her look up and her head darts frantically around for any of us with nothing to do, and her eyes land on me, standing with my hands behind my back, practically rocking back and forth whistling to pass time. She runs over and shoves 2 cups into my hands and goes, "Okay, get started, I need you to make these. Can you believe this family?" she says with a conspiratorial grin. I grin back at her. I know, right? I hand her the cups. "Sorry though, I don't want to mess up your bar. Besides, I don't even know how to make drinks." At the time that this was occurring, I was still not sure what the flow of the shop was and all the nuances were, such as not stepping in front of someone's bar and not standing around doing nothing. I no longer do these things. The last story is called, "Refuse to Pay $400? I work in a hobby shop that mostly sells stuff related to remote control. The store is about a block away from a school, so we have a lot of kids that come by. One day, one of our frequent customers, a nice kid, comes in with his rock crawler, asking if the warranty would cover the damage. The front end of the car is completely destroyed, to the point where I doubted if any of the car could be salvageable. I ask him how this happened. He mumbles something along the lines of, "I just crashed it." Unfortunately, the warranty wouldn't cover that. I inform him of such, and he just completely breaks down. I talked to him and got him to calm down. He wiped his eyes and told me the tale of what happened to it. Nearby, there is a little open area of forest. It's got a shallow stream, a few fallen logs, and plenty of boulders. This area is the absolute dream and is a well-kept secret among the enthusiasts in our area. Or at least, it was. The kid had been having some trouble in school with a group of bullies. The day prior, he had gone out to the woods, and unbeknownst to him, he was followed by the ringleader of the bully group. The nice kid was minding his own business when the other kid came running into the clearing and smashed the car a few times with a baseball bat. Now, the car was really nice. I mean really nice. If I remember correctly, it was the 6x6 beast. This car costs about $400, and with the modifications the kid made, it was easily worth something in the 1,000 range. He had been saving for years to be able to afford it, which was why he had the warranty in the first place. I told the kid to wait there, and I went to go talk with boss. My boss had been into the hobby since he was about 10, and completely understood the kid's situation. But we couldn't cover the cost alone. I then had a bright idea. What if we contacted bully's parents? We could get them to cover half, and we could cover the rest. The bully came in sometimes to buy spray paint and had tried to steal some a few times, so we had his parents' phone number on file. I called them up and explained to his parent what happened. She was completely understanding and said she would bring him over to discuss this later in the afternoon. They arrive shortly after, and I bring them into the back, where I have my manager and the nice kids sitting at a table. I explain the situation, and the ensuing conversation goes something like this. I'm sorry to have to bring you into this, ma'am, but your son damaged the kid's car pretty badly, and we need you to cover some of the cost. I completely understand. I'm sure my kid didn't mean to do that, but I'm willing to help reimburse the cost. I ignored the comment about the kid and continued. So, I've got the receipts for his purchases of the parts damages, and we need you to cover about $400 worth of parts. Does that sound reasonable? The bully says, I didn't damage it that bad. His mother says, that's impossible. I can get an RC car like that at Walmart for $50. My boss says, yes, but this sort of thing is much higher quality, and we have grounds to ask you for the full price of the vehicle. We are being extremely generous by only asking for $400. We have proof of the cost if you like. I'm not paying that. Take $20 and I'm leaving. Ma'am, we can take this to small claims court if needs be. Well, now I'm not paying anything. Just replace it yourself or sue me. And with that, the mother and her hell child left. My boss got in contact with a lawyer and talked with him about it. He was told that without concrete evidence of the kid damaging the car, we didn't have a leg to stand on. So boss and I hatched a plan. We informed the nice kid of our plan. He got a huge grin on his face and offered to help. We have lots of spare parts around, and the kid had an extra body for the beast. We take an old chassis, extend it with some plywood, and mount the body to it. We slap on some cheap electronics, hardware, and, importantly, a GoPro, and a can of spray paint. We then get into contact with some of the other kids that regularly come to the shop, and it is made clear that the bully doing this was not an isolated incident. We discovered that he even did this to adults. Perfect. The nice kid enters the woods to set the trap. He drove the car around a bit, and, soon enough, the bully appears, baseball bat in hand. He tells the nice kid that he's gonna pay, and proceeds to smash the car again, stating that the shop won't replace it now. The spray paint can burst, and the bully is covered in paint. He screams and runs away. The next day, the mother is in with the bully, saying how she is going to sue us for aggravated assault, and that she is going to make us pay for what we did. So we took it to court. We now had evidence that the bully smashes other people's RC cars, and we even managed to get testimonials from a few of the people that the bully had done this to before. The mother tried to use the spray paint trap as something like intentional assault, but she had no foot to stand on, and the judge ruled that it was self-defense. The case was ruled in our favor, and mother was forced to pay about $1,200 for the cost of the car and damages. But best of all, she also had to pay over $3,000 to cover the damage the bully had done to the other people's cars. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.